EcoCha exclusively represents specialty Taiwan tea with over 25 years of immersion in the Taiwanese tea industry and tea culture. And today we are here tasting the fall harvest of our regular source of Alishan High Mountain Oolong Tea, harvested just about a week ago, and we picked it up a few days ago. And we think it's quite representative of their ongoing quality stock of High Mountain Oolong Tea. And to see what each season has to offer. It's only a few months apart in growing seasons from the same plants in the same environment. So it gets pretty subtle, and that gets interesting. Let's have a smell. Foresty, savory, very full aromatic profile. It's not flowery. It sort of reminds me of winter tea, with that deeper kind of character to it, a more foresty character as opposed to floral. I brewed 9 grams of tea leaves in 150 milliliters of water at very close to boiling temperature for 1 minute, and then 50 seconds, and then 1 minute, 15 seconds. So we have 3 consecutive brews here. The color of the brews is fairly even. It's hard with a little bit of shadows. I guess the last brew is a slightly darker hue. The middle brew is particularly transparent and limpid. Really nice kind of glowing hue coming off. And it's probably just the angle that the light is hitting this middle cup. But classic clear golden green visual representation of Taiwanese High Mountain Oolong Tea. Let's go ahead and have a taste. So this is cooled down for probably 5 minutes or so now. Savory vegetable, savory and vegetal characters coming off, but quite full in its bouquet. Buttery. Buttery, savory vegetables. Quite good. Second brew, almost exactly the same. Let's go back to the first brew here again. Really nice, balanced, smooth texture, and a nice nose following. It's got a nice, delicate, dry finish. Not too much. It's not astringent, but it gives you enough dryness to make the flavors pop after swallowing. A lot coming through the back of my nose into my sinuses. Really satisfying, that immediate kind of buttery, soothing quality with some savory highlights to make it vibrant, so to speak, in its flavor profile. I think the second brew is a little bit fuller in flavor. It's got a little more going on, a little more substance, which is almost always the case when brewing in a judging cup. I preheated it. But it's still, the first 1 minute is just not quite enough to bring the full spectrum out. The second brew really kind of rounds it out a bit more. Let's go to the third brew here. Brewed for a little bit longer, 1 minute, 15 seconds. More herbal, more aromatic qualities coming out of the third brew, actually. Much more alive, really. These were smoother and mellower, more well-rounded, and this has got a nicer punch to it almost. Definitely more of a herbal, savory character. A little bit lighter, a tiny bit thinner. Still some buttery there. It's smooth with that just a little bit of dryness on the tongue, but more complexity coming with the third brew. So we would recommend starting with a 1 to 15 ratio, 1 gram of leaf to 15 milliliters of water, 10 grams of leaf to 150 milliliters of water, brewing in the classic Gong Fu style, starting at 50 seconds to 1 minute, maybe a little bit less for the second brew, and then continuing to increase the brewing time with each successive brew. It should be easily good for 5 or 6 brews in a gaiwan or a Gong Fu teapot. The brewed leaves, first of all, I haven't mentioned the dried leaves. They're fairly uniform, a little bit of yellowing stem action going on, but nothing too pervasive. I'd say 85% even dark green coloration in the leaves. The size is pretty uniform. There's nothing too overly bulky here. So I would say it's on the younger side, actually, with some stem material there showing a little bit more yellowing, but nothing overly mature in terms of the size of the leaves. And it looks that way in the brewed leaves as well. Fairly small, developed enough. It looks like winter tea to me in that the length of stem between the leaves is not very much. So I'm guessing that if the leaves were pruned this year, most likely they were trimmed after the spring harvest and were allowed to grow until now, which slows down the growth of the plants at this time of year. They're kind of slowly moving into their dormant phase, so they're just not vegetating that much, and they're not really trying to get a lot of sunlight at this stage in the game. So maybe that's why it's a little bit more savory and that foresty kind of character as well. The leaves are more naturally exhibiting their seasonal character. I'm gonna go through it one more time, see what we get when it's cooled. A little more. Buttery, vegetal, savory. That's what this has got for sure. Nice rounded character, nice balanced character. More of the same. Kind of like on the movement toward the third brew in my first experience, it has a little bit more pop, a little bit more complexity. A little bit more going on in the second brew than the first brew. I get more nose in the third brew. It just goes straight up and there's a lot of this aromatic kind of bouquet thing going on. I do get the hui gan and the ho yun kind of this kind of after effect, I like to call it. It's just not just a taste. It's everything going from here all the way up through your sinuses that is stimulating. It's aromatic. It's refreshing, basically, with this cleansing kind of aromatic qualities. So there we have it. Fall Alishan High Mountain Oolong Tea. Like the summer crop, it's significantly less than spring and winter in cost, so we're able to offer it at a much cheaper price. It's really a great deal for what you're getting, and it's just a couple of months away from the winter tea. Winter tea it has been less predictable in recent years, as all the growing seasons have become due to climate change. The classic weather patterns are kind of disappearing, and it's more of a seasonal one by one season to see what happens during a particular growing season. It is a good time to stock up on Alishan High Mountain Tea if that's your thing at this great fall price. Check it out. You can go to our website ecocha.com, click on Oolong Teas, unroasted oolongs, and you'll find our Alishan Fall 2020 batch available now. Thanks for being with us, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get all the updates about all the things that we're doing here on the ground in Taiwan and sharing our knowledge of the tea industry with you. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.